safe uses of that environment. Without the LWRP and the associated laws in place, it would be next to impossible to be able to get the proposed projects through review and approved along the waterfront areas. The state currently has 44 policies that would have to be, that every project would have to adhere to. Those policies have been tailored to the city of Plattsburgh and are addressed within the LWRP. So there are approximately 27 proposed projects included in the LWRP and pre-reviewed against each one of those policies. So without the LWRP in place, it would be an extremely arduous process for any of those proposed projects to move forward and achieve the state's allowance approval for those projects because they're within the waterfront areas. With the LWRP, it's a pre-review process for those projects that are included, and then any future projects, they would have to go through a consistency review, which is the local, one of the two local laws, it's P-3 that is on the agenda for this evening. So in essence, the LWRP and the two associated local laws would simplify the application and review process for any project to move forward. And the residents' ability to utilize the waterfront and gain greater access to the waterfront. Because it's like an agreement with the state that while we're using and further developing, we would be also further protecting.
In a nutshell, without 2 and 3, we can't do the other. Is that what you're saying?
We would be leaving it without the ability to fully implement it. So the state wouldn't stand behind it. So essentially, yes, you are correct.
So has the state reviewed, where did these local laws get, or proposed local laws get developed?
Right, so this was all part of the state's review and guidance for the development of, correct, yeah. And initially, one of the earlier drafts of the LWRP did not have the harbor management law included as a proposed local law, and before the finalization of the LWRP, the state required us to draft the harbor management law and include that in the LWRP as an appendices I believe it is.
Now we already have a zoning review process that's underway, right?
Correct.
So then, is this P3, is that in that? Because I went to those meetings, I didn't remember hearing about the need for this.
No, because these local laws are not yet in existence, they can't be fully incorporated into the zoning update process.
Are they aware of this?
Yes, they are. They're fully aware of the LWRP being a draft phase and moving forward to proposed adoption.
Well,
Contradict with each other?
actually, everything you're working on is, with the zoning is proposed, just like this. It's not, there's nothing in place yet, just like this.
Right.
I just wanted to say, I do have heartburn with a couple of things on the first one with the zoning. There was a couple of things I didn't agree with in there. And I don't understand why this isn't being done with the whole group that's going with zoning. We've waited 10 years, we're working on this, it's almost done. I would like to see that in full review with the whole zoning update group. I think it should go through them also. On the other one, the harbor management, whatever, I see a lot of unenforceable items in there. A lot of, well, I would just say ridiculous items. I cannot see the building inspector sitting out in his car out there with his binoculars looking to see if anybody's dumping anything in the lake, which is exactly what you have to do. We've passed other zoning, or not zoning, but other laws like this, like no smoking on the street. Well, that's totally unenforceable, and it isn't enforced. I see this as an exercise in futility, so I am not for either one.
You see the entire LRAP, the adoption of the LRAP as pointless, like the whole.
No, I do not.
You do not see it, you see it as pointless.
No, I do not.
You do not. So you see some value in it. Then
Yes, I
What's the path forward then, other than just saying it's all futile?
It's not all futile. I'm speaking specifically to the harbor management.
I'm not arguing with you, Councilman, I'm not arguing with you, I'm asking you a question.
Well, that is the answer. I have heartburn with the harbor management law,
Sure.
not the LRAP.
Then what's the solution to your concerns to that particular point of the law?
Needs to be reworked.
Okay. My understanding is the reason why this would not be under consideration with the zoning code rewrite is because it's not part of our zoning code. So there would be no reason to review it as part of our zoning code rewrite.
Well, it says in the motion that it's zoning code, making changes to the zoning code. Am I reading that wrong?
No, that's it, that's accurate.
It's an overlay to the zoning. So if you have the base zoning in place, and this provides an extra layer of protection and review, which is sensible because as you get closer to the waterfront areas and riparian areas, those areas have a higher degree of sensitivity. So it's not to take the zoning, the underlying zoning away in those areas, it's to add additional layers of protection while allowing additional ability to develop those areas. And again, so what this is doing is it's bringing something that's at a higher state level for review and approval for many of these projects and uses down to the local level for our review and ability to manage. And without harbor management law, it's up to the state to manage. So if somebody's dumping something in the lake and we see it happening, we have no ability to enforce it directly. They would have to go through the state channels. So go ahead.
The DEC does that. You just make a phone call.
And through the harbor management law, the way it's worded, it allows a bit of flexibility for how that management is delivered. And that has not been fully worked out at this point because this law is not yet in place.
Well, to me, zoning is zoning, and it all needs to be reviewed very carefully. I've seen zoning changes in many different municipalities. It's a very controversial issue, and you want to make sure that everybody has had a good look at this.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, for us to sit here and say, I like all these changes, there's some I'm not too comfortable with.
So as far as taking a good look at this, this is a project that has been going on since 2016. There have been countless public meetings. We've had a PAC committee that worked on this for years. This has come to council at least 3 different times in the last year with full documentation, and has had 5 different public meetings in the last year and a half. And we have had the full final plan listed on the city website for at least 2.5 months, if not longer. The final plan is not much different from the draft plan with the exception of revised editing and formatting.
You're talking about the LRAP one, correct?
Correct, which includes the local laws. the local laws were just broken out separately from the full plan, so they can be adopted and incorporated into the zoning code and the full code. The harbor management law would live within the full code. It would have its own section in the full code. And the consistency law would get folded within the zoning code portion of the full code.
Okay, well, I'd like to hear from, well, maybe, I guess there's not a whole lot of us here today. You know, I'm sticking to what I said. I'm not happy with some of the things that are in there. I don't think some of the residents are happy with some of the things that are in there. And I don't see any purpose for a harbor master. This isn't Baltimore. We do not have that kind of boat traffic here. And it's only during the summer. So I think some more work needs to be done.
Okay, and I'm
It's just my
sorry,
opinion. I'm not trying to.
I'm sorry to hear this now at the end of the process.
No, it's never over until it's over. We can
No, it's
continue to
not.
work on it. Yes, we can.
Is the harbor master an actual title or is it some type of designation?
It's one and the same. It's a designation, it's by definition, but it's, you know, with every definition, it's open to the local interpretation and enforcement. So I would defer to Dean on this.
Defining the local law, the person annually appointed by the mayor or the consent council who has responsibility to enforce the harbor management law.
So it's an appointment, it's not an actual title. So it could be like the building inspector or the senior planner or.
In my reading, it's not the actual, it's not a required position though, right?
It doesn't have to be an additional position
Right.
created.
It's,
It would be an assignment.
it's much like we have a fair housing officer that the mayor appoints at the beginning of the year. It's not a new title, it's an appointment to an existing person. So
Or an ADA compliance officer.
There would be payroll involved in that, though.
there's probably no.
I don't see any volunteers in anything we do.
Okay, but there's no more payroll involved in appointing city's fair housing officer, as we do now, so.
And I also failed to point out earlier in my overview that having an LWRP in place expands the ability to obtain grant dollars. So it's a revitalization program, and any revitalization program grant we go after for associated projects will ask if we have an LWRP in place, and if we don't, we'll lose points on that grant application. And many of those applications are highly competitive. So if we don't have an LWRP in place, likely we'll lose out on that grant funding.
Can I add something to that, just to give some color to that example? I do believe that we put forward a Harborside Phase 1 grant application for the CFA, definitely in 2003.
Correct.
It might have been in 2002 as well. And we haven't been awarded that money, and despite getting top marks for the project. And so I think that's just an example of sort of what we could face, you know, and so do we continue to go after that grant funding if we don't have some of this back-end administrative work and laws in place? So we are seeing the results of that already.
And as far as the harbor management law and the consistency law are concerned, that language largely came from the state. It wasn't created in-house. It's dictated by the state to be in accordance with their principles and their structure. So they can allow the oversight to move from them to us.
So just so I'm clear again, and this harbor master, it's not, is it an actual new position or is it a title or a job section that maybe is appointed, or, you know, Joe McMahon is
Right.
a title B or appointed the title or.
It's based on the amount of demand for that position, I would say. So it's open to assessment and review and interpretation. So it can be simply like Joe McMahon is the flood permit reviewer for any FEMA applications, right? Any development within the floodplain, he reviews those permits permits and moves them forward,
Okay.
so.
And it's not, it doesn't sound like an absolutely necessary, it doesn't sound like a position that's necessary, because it says the harbor manager or the harbor manager's designee or other public officer of the city so appointed shall. So it's not necessarily a harbor master.
Yeah,
But
I think
it's separate.
again, and I
It's a separate person.
Counselor, I didn't read it as we need to hire a title harbor master and with salary and benefits. What I read it as, it's an appointment to it's a person that is appointed to that position. Not necessarily like a mayoral appointment like we would appoint a department head, but much like we would appoint the fair housing officer that we do every single year.
But it could be a paid position.
Or other public officer.
Well, I think we beat this pretty good. I will politely agree to disagree, but I guess we spent quite a bit of time. I don't know if anybody else has any questions. I want
Counselor Gibbs did have some questions about local law P2, about Wilcox Dock. We manage Wilcox Dock internally. There's no permitting for Wilcox Dock. That's owned separate. The city of Plattsburgh does not own Wilcox. We oversee it. It's owned by Canal Corps, which is the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation.
They're actually separate. Canal Corp is completely separate from DEC.
So that is owned and managed by Canal Corp. We have docks down there, and those docks are leased through the city of Plattsburgh. The second question was who manages the enforcement of the harbor area right now? The question would fall under this harbor master title, but apparently or this overlay, or whoever oversees the overlay of this district, correct?
Right, right now, it's within the state of New York purview.
Okay, so New York State currently manages it, and again, the whole reason for this program is that it's managed locally.
Yep.
There was a question about management and coordination and review of actions, that the responsibility shall fall to another existing committee or board. Is that the planning board that falls under? Planning and zoning board?
It has not, that's just to allow flexibility, if there are any, internal staff or organizational changes. So, that would remain to be determined.
I don't see anything else from Councilor Gibbs' questions regarding these.
She did have under her first question for -2, under permit applications and procedures, who currently oversees the scheduling right now. And I'm not exactly sure, I didn't fully understand her question for that.
Yeah, that was another question.
Did you see something?
So, and then I just, furthermore, having the purview of harbor management, and oversight for the local waterfront development activities, that allows us to engage with greater economic development and better utilization of our waterfront. So, if the city is interested in increasing economic development opportunities and harnessing the waterfront, this is your vessel. So, any other questions?
Thank you.
We've got quite a few things on the agenda tonight. Bit of a community development show.
I did have a question about the playground equipment.
Yeah.
We're gonna be spending $450,000 on that, for one foot. Is that, we have no grants coming for that?
No, so that is all coming out of the ARPA general fund, from our Parks Renewal project that was approved by council in 2022. And so that money, which at the time was about $1.5 million, was set aside for the development and creation of the Parks Master Plan, which we passed in January of this year. And then the development of what we designated as like a phase one of all of the plans that were created as the Parks Master Plan. As you've seen in the plan, some of the parks total, $5 to $8 million, to implement everything in the plan. And so the approach was, let's take a phased approach. We'll see what we can accomplish with this money that, has been approved, in the first year, and we'll identify top priority projects in all of the parks. And so what we're seeing and what we'll see in the next couple of weeks when we have the council award the bid contracts is, all of the projects that are part of phase one, which includes new bathrooms, in sites designated where the bathrooms are derelict and not in use or needing of improvements and upgrades. And also this playground in Fox Hill, which was designated a priority playground because, as many of you might know, if I need to explain myself much more, it's about maybe the size of this area right here, and it's quite old and part
This equipment
It's only said
is, I mean, this is beautiful, this is really, really nice.
yeah, and what's really
It's,
exciting about the equipment is that it's been chosen, by our community in a sense. We worked with this company to develop 3 different plans, based on the master plan of the park and what was sort of designated as like the look and feel and the theme. We spoke with people about what they want to see in their playgrounds, and then we also had a target budget in mind, which was actually higher than this, and this is coming under our target budget.
I was gonna say,
around
yeah, it's
600K.
yeah.
And so we wanted to find, a little lower so that there was some wiggle room, but then we put these 3 designs out to the public. Folks voted on it on My City of Plattsburgh, and said that this was, these were the equipments that their kids looked online and they were like, Mom, want to play on this summer, so.
So you said there's 1.5 million that was put aside for this sort of thing.
For phase one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so this takes care of like most of the 0.5.
Yeah.
Okay. And then this is before bathrooms get done or anything like that.
Yeah, so we're gonna be accepting bids a week today, and seeing how all of those come in, pricing wise. So we've got a full project budget that I would have to check on this, but I believe at one point last year, Matt shared a little bit of a concept of the project and the phasing. We received these numbers based off of the parks master plan developed by Barton and Judas. They went in and sort of costed out, got a couple different quotes on, what these different pieces of the park would cost, a playground, what a walking path would cost, what a bathroom would cost. And so we're using those as our preliminary numbers for the budget. And the reason why I'm putting this on the council's agenda this week, prior to all the other bids, is just because we'd love to get this park built this summer, and some of this equipment does have a little bit of a lead time. And so, we'd love to be able to approve this and make that purchase order so that we can, start that process and it can happen this summer.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just a little clarification there. I thought we had approved 2.6 million for the initial project.
For
Parks project.
the total parks project,
Oh, is it 2.6?
it's 2.6.
It's better that I underquoted than overquoted. So, thank you,
Saved a bunch of money.
Because I just started out here, so,
We have 2.0, so to be clear, we had 1.5 that came out of.
Sorry, thank you.
ARPA,
Thank
and
you.
then.
1 million, 1 million from the general fund.
Yeah,
Right,
thank you.
right. I mean, I'm sitting here going, no.
That's not my.
What about my
spreadsheet
part?
at all, yeah.
Well, you're still here.
Yeah. Anything else about the parks or?
No, on to business loans.
Yeah.
I will give you the names after the meeting. I'm not gonna say it out in public, but there was a couple of people that said that they had applied and never heard back.
I do believe I know who you're referring to, who came into the office and we rectified the issue today.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I know
There was
that-
just a miscommunication, this email situation, so, that person is preparing their.
Not on our,
Yeah, true, that should be said.
clear.
Okay, so I was out and somebody had mentioned that to me and I just wanted to pass it
Yeah,
to
thank
everyone
you.
else. And because it's a big thing to me. I mean, I'm glad we're doing this. This is great. But I want to make sure that everybody's treated fairly,
Absolutely.
you know.
Yeah.
And, when I heard people say that they had handed them in and didn't hear back, I thought, wow, I should bring that.
There was, I believe we received 6 initial applications, but as we moved through the process, some have opted not to continue the process, or some, didn't choose to hand in their application.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
And so folks know where we're at in this process. We did everything possible, door to door, to inform impacted businesses that this was an available program. We internally have been discussing the merits of potentially reopening the program, considering it's the second year now, getting through last year, and then revisiting, is this based on business demand? Is there something that people would need even coming into this season and going into next? So we'll continue to revisit that, but at the end of the day, and as most people read, the Margaret Street project is just wrapping up with their crosswalks and the signaling, and we just have certainly appreciated people's patience and their frustration as well.
But in the same token,
Yeah.
it might be something available to everybody, but not everybody gets it. I think that's probably what's turning the, whatever Jeff was, what do we say? Sour, I don't know. Anyway, that's turning my school, my court school is not everybody's getting it.
You mean getting approved for
Yeah.
the loan?
And I mean, we're putting that out there to help what we did. That had to be done. I voted yes. And so, I mean, it had to be done, but not everybody's getting a loan. And I understand for the most part why, but it's kind of heartbreaking. The one person I know did not just get it. I love tremendously, and
I completely hear the sentiment and would completely agree that we want to create a program and create an opportunity that is accessible and able to, have as much participation as possible. And part of the application process is to, we have a lot of documentation, a lot of, financial and information that gets shared. And then we have a loan committee, consisting of our city chamberlain and somebody who works, at a credit union, review things. And, we really do. We want, whether we're right-sizing the loan to the person's needs or, providing what they're asking for, or unfortunately having to deny something. I think when it comes to the case of denial, it's also because we have to hold, being fiscally responsible with city and federal funds.
oh, I get it. I've applied for
For
it.
sure, yeah. And I
Absolutely.
think
Never
that
been denied.
it should be
Well,
said,
yeah.
it should be said, that's
And
why.
but it's so
Yeah.
heartbreaking.
And
It
the,
is.
the process will be, for loans that are denied, that there is a formal process, there will be, a formal letter issued, and, it won't just be, hey, I'm sorry, but there will be kind of a counseling process through that. So we're not, just kind of
Sure that
throwing
you
people to the
appreciate
side. Yeah, absolutely.
The other part to this, the loan program, but then the overall concern is, we do have a strong relationship, now we do through this process, we have a very strong relationship with the Small Business Development Center. And that relationship can be leveraged and will be leveraged moving forward with businesses that might not either apply or might not be approved in this process. The other thing is, there's two distinct tracks, if you will. There's the track of the loan program, and then there's the track of council approval. Through the process of the loan, the recommendation comes to the council. The council can choose not to follow that recommendation. That is why there's a check and balance, if you will. Now, it's the risk that you take if the financial professionals and the people who review loan applications as their living, as their career, say, there's too much risk in this application, there's too much risk from this applicant. It would be our recommendation to decline or deny the loan. The council can say, you're, like you said, we created this, we had to do this. And, we all sat around and said, it's needed and I do it, or, face, more urgency in the future. Council can say, we're gonna promote. That's a risk. And it's measured, but at the same time, you gotta understand that. We have financial, like Courtney's saying, we also have financial obligation to be stewards of this fund.
Any other questions?
Well, just one comment. I've been talking to a lot of the business owners downtown. They are pretty fed up with construction. They're reaching their breaking point.
So,
Believe me, so are we.
and we know. We are with them, we talk to them, we're out every day, walking the street, running into folks, and it is, it wears you down after a while, and we understand, we're very sympathetic with it.
Yeah, which their livelihoods, and
Yeah.
they take it very seriously.
Yep.
As we do, we also.
We all do.
It's not a solution, but we are excited this year to be able to bring back some things down that had to be moved or put on pause, event-wise, and the Art Fest being one of them. That's going to be coming back to Margaret Street. We're going to see that, the street get closed down and be like a big celebration of art and music in our community. And, we're hoping to engage with our downtown business owners to be part of that event. We're inviting them to the table to join, to help us, create something really exciting downtown. And I know that's just a one-day thing, but, we hope that stuff continues, because that does contribute to, people's livelihood and their business success downtown. So we're, really looking forward to this thing. No one has any questions about Couch, the band?
I think I was watching some of their videos online. Female lead singer, lots of saxophone friends and everything. How did you come up with that?
We were speaking with some of our management, the folks who manage, all of the different bands that we've worked with in the past, who we've had, good relationships with, good experience with all the people that they represent, and kind of ask, the combination of who's available, who fits within our budget, who has a sound and, a feel that would kind of work with Plattsburgh. I like to talk with folks, who are from the community, who have a sense of the music scene, and talk with them. And so we landed on them as a cool. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
There was a question, I know Councilor Gibbs submitted a question on 7.100 regarding the extension of the Marina Management Agreement. This is the same Marina Management Agreement we've been operating under. It's an extension for one more year. The majority of that is because there are some questions about how the future of that marina is going to be managed. We figured that we went that lead and talked internally. Do we hire temporary staff in the summertime for us to manage the marina, with the potential of making a little bit more revenue out of our own stuff? It's a little bit more convenient just to extend the contract as it is. And the council also extended this contract once before, correct? Last October to February. Yeah.
I had a question about the lights in the roof. The lights and the city hall renovation, electrical construction.
Yeah, Mike, why don't you cover that and, outline what's up with that? There's a change order, you're referring to the change order?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Yeah, so our city hall roof actually is, believe it or not, there's more than just a contract, so there's actually a roofing contract, electrical, mechanical. The roofing contract is obviously the largest. Electrical contract, I think, was $20,000, so there's no contingency allowance there. We discovered field condition, the front skylight, we have since eliminated.
Did you say that again, please?
Eliminated the front skylight in the building. There was an old skylight that you can't see from the ground. The only place you can see it from is maybe on top of the Smith. And there's an option to replace the skylight in whole, which is about $66,000 for a custom unit, or to roof it. And then what there is there's frosted glass. If you go to the top of the auditorium, right in front where the front door is moving, you'll see a section of frosted glass. It's always been there, where we used to have natural light coming through there. So instead of going ahead and putting an expensive roof or skylight in there, custom made, which was out probably at least 8 more weeks, they roofed it and we put in some artificial lights. Gives you the same appearance.
Okay. I was curious, I'm like, how could that be a place? Okay, I see what you're saying.
And the only reason the project was broken out is because of Wick's law. You have to bid, plumbing, heating, electrical, and then obviously the general construction is separate.
Right, okay. That makes sense.
Any more questions on
In regards to the roof, I got a interesting email today about from a constituent who was angry that we were using copper for the roof, but that is what the roof was before, correct? Copper?
That is correct. So the original roof, I don't have pictures from 1917, but it is a.
Why not?
I apologize.
He was just born that year.
One job.
So they were concerned, they actually like the grade, it will grade over time. They'll most likely look, if you're familiar with Hawkins Hall or St. Peter's Church, that's the look you'll get. Obviously, we're fortunate we have a roofer here today with us. He can attest to it, he's very familiar with the process, so.
It's gonna look good.
Yes, it'll look very good. And, being whether you choose my professional opinion or even his, he'll vouch for the workmanship that's up there.
So nothing's being, it was always copper,
It
so we're just
is
replacing it.
historically accurate,
Very good, okay,
to what was there originally.
okay.
They had
So
painted
that
the
was
original
the-
copper.
And yeah, they actually had painted over it with that.
And to my understanding, there was some kind of historic preservation of buildings grant we were putting towards the roof, correct?
Not towards the roof. If the council will recall, there's 2 projects that were packaged together called City Hall renovation. One
Okay.
part was the roof, one part was the step. As a total package, we received $500,000, which will be applied towards the step renovation.
Okay,
Thanks.
I just wanted to go back to the marina agreement.
Yes,
It's been quite a while. So I remember this, what do they get for that? I know they get the docks.
Yeah.
Do they get our little building down there?
According to the agreement, they do have access to the building and that building facility. They will manage the docks, the rental of the docks and the, not the maintenance, so that's our job, correct? Maintenance of the dock and the facility and clean the garbage, things like that. But they will,
We set the docks up annually,
Yeah.
we take them down annually, and if there's any mechanical issues with the hardware itself, we make the repairs.
everything else, the marketing, the rental, the collection of monies, everything like that is up to the third party manager.
Yeah, the reason I brought that up is because we paid quite a bit for that building back in the day. I think probably about 350,000 all told. I'm just, it's a ballpark. I'm not trying
Then we
to-
renovated it.
But it seems like there would be better uses for that building. Maybe not this year, we don't want to do anything like that, but, it was Claire and Carl's, I think, way back in the day.
Way back.
For a short period of time, yes, Claire Carl's had a,
And then, of course, this is a much more modern, better building. Maybe that as that property becomes more focused on, that we would find a better use for that building. I don't know. I don't have any suggestions.
Policy that we were using, we had borrowed, we had never adopted after we reviewed, Chief Mitchell, myself, Jackie Keller, the labor counsel for the city of Plattsburgh. We reviewed, what the city's 207C policy was. We do not have one. We had adopted one and we're using one from Saratoga County. So this formally adopts a 207C policy, as recommended by general municipal law. So it essentially incorporates a 207C policy, which is a general disability.
They're singing and playing music.
Is
say.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say that. They're not coming for you. Taking that.
So yeah, it's a general disability policy, the policy for bringing people back under light duty. Yes, it has been reviewed by Labor Council, has been reviewed by the union, as well as department heads for adoption. All right. Yeah, 9 minutes. Any other questions about reports, items on the agenda, anything like this? If not, we'll adjourn for the next 9 minutes and reconvene in 5:30. Yeah. Motion to adjourn. Councilor Johnson, Councilor Moore, all in favor? Now,
Yes,